No, you came here for a purpose. Is it that? So you have to discover your abilities. You have to discover your talents, show gifts. That's why Proverbs chapter 10 verse 1 goes on to say that I know what a counsel in a man is as deep water, but a man of understanding shall be able to draw it out. You need understanding because it is intrusive within you. You know these people who are called superstars? Well, one time I was speaking about be a star. If you want to be a star, you've got to be a vowel. If you want to be a star, you've got to give life. If you want to be a star, be about traffic. And if we get them, I will come back and teach about that. Be a star. If you want to be a star before men, let them, physical star, let them, created star, show you how to be a star before men. Be above in wisdom. Be above in seeking wisdom. Be above in association. Be above in making this relationship. And also give light. Be unique. And also overcome traffic. What do I mean? Overcome low self-esteem. Overcome what those things we say, what you will not make it. Overcome all the powers. You are doing what's victory. Overcome, be a star. So you discover your potentials. And I want to ask you what you have. Huh? What you have. Even your beauty can be a tool that can put you to the table of greatness. The Bible also says that a man is gift. Can act as an elevator and push him within the places of the great. Your gift can push you to those realms. What are you having? What are you having? Just for being given and being given. But there's something there that God put in you also. Have you tried to discover it? Now, since my childhood, I've been preaching. I started preaching in my primary 5. I went to high school. I went to now university. I'm still preaching. Even I do. You know what? Live streams. You can search my name, Emmanuel on Facebook. You can see there live sermons. But because you know what? I realized what I can do. I realized what I can do. You see that? So it's like whereby you flash a torch within your life and then try to discover. So, discover of God, discover of who you are, and discover of the abilities, the potential that the gift that God has put within you. Are we together? Yeah? Are we together? Many people, madam, just want to be great. But you will not be great before men if you don't discover what we are created to do here. Greatness, it is the feedback that you get from men after serving them faithfully and effectively with your potential. Yeah? And the results will be honor, the results will be there will be favor. That's what the Bible goes on to say, you know what? Good understanding gives favor. Oh God, give me favor. There are things that actually this understanding, you know what? You can pray for something and then it comes. But actually, there are realms as you understand God. There are realms whereby you need to just know how to apply something. We are born again to just pray and pray and pray. No, it's not all about praying. They are what we call keys of the kingdom. Now, we don't want to go deep there because I understand, you don't understand those things. But I know God is will help you. So you see that? Madam, because there's what we call identity crisis. Identity crisis. That is the resultant effect of not comprehending your word and not knowing who you are. So do you know who you are? Working power, working miracles, I live a life of favor, because I know who I am. He lives a life of favor because he has understood what she is. She's a singer. Who are you? What do you carry? Oh boy, I'm going to work in power. Also sings on this one. Working power, working miracles, she will not walk there. Because of who you are, that's why you will walk in power and you live a life of favor. Am I teaching somebody there? Today I just want to know what I'm going with so much fire, but today I just want to see so as I can teach. Because I understand your setting. Identity crisis. Do you know who you are? When Satan came to Jesus, the first thing, test of identity. If you are the Son of God, do you understand who you are? And Jesus responded to him. Yes, I know. And he tells him it is written. Why? Because Jesus learned. Transformation comes with knowledge and sitting down to learn. Jesus prayed. At age 12, when you read Luke chapter 2 and verse 24, he was found among the doctors teaching. They were listening and then asking them questions. He wasn't teaching them, but he was listening and then asking them questions. A man learns in three ways. One of them, relating with the wise people, asking questions and also reading. Are you getting it? So Jesus was actually being formed. He was listening. At age 12, now let me ask you, at age 12, what were you doing? At age 12, the Bible says at age 12, he knew his destiny. At age 13, I started preaching. Primary 5, I was already preaching. I just got an encounter. Go. But that's for another day. It was a good encounter, I saw it. Age 12 is sitting among the doctors. This is the age whereby, that's why I say the morning phase. This is the age whereby you have to listen. Listen and you shall also speak. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we need to listen more than to speak. You speak once and then it carries power. It carries wisdom. It carries transformation. Am I preaching to somebody? So we see him reaching at age 30. He started his ministry at age 30 until 33. Then he closed the chapter whereby even today we are still talking about him. That is a man who spent time learning. And then after that, we go to what we call, because after knowing the identity, then you try see to levels of pleasures. Pleasures. That's why I say everybody has this. I believe everybody here has a pleasure, isn't it? My sister, have a pleasure? I believe everybody here has a pleasure. And sometimes your pleasure can take your time. Some pleasure, no. Sometimes your pleasures, they can, they take your heart. So where your treasure is, there your heart will be. That's what you're supposed to say. So what is your treasure? No, well, what is your pleasure? To serve is football. And he doesn't watch a match. I've never been to those rooms whereby I want to watch Arsenal. I remember those days when I just started ministry. Arsenal is playing on Saturday, and yet I have to preach to my fellows on Saturday in the youth, ministry church. It was terrible. It wasn't easy to get away with that pleasure because I have to serve God, and yet Arsenal is playing. It is a pleasure. Some people just want to booze. Others just want to watch pornography. That is a pleasure. If he doesn't watch pornography here, what will happen? He doesn't sleep. At least he needs to actually to go and then browse a new click. And how much he doesn't have data, he will have to go to this. That's what we call the power of pleasure. You can't live without it. Are we together there? Come on, somebody say amen. Now there's a quote here I want to read to you. It was Thomas Aquinas. He goes on to say, man cannot live without joy. Therefore, when he is deprived of the spirit of the true spiritual joys, it is necessary that he becomes addicted to the carnal pleasures. Man cannot live without joy. Man cannot live without joy. And it's the pleasures that sometimes bring the joy. You understand that? But I want to ask you, what is your pleasure? What is pleasurable unto you? What do you treasure much? What do you give most of your time? Look together. So what is your pleasure? That is vitally important. But now as you understand, let us now narrow it down. The pleasures, the term pleasure, let me just give it to you the definition. Pleasure refers to the feeling of happy satisfaction and enjoyment. A feeling of happy satisfaction and enjoyment. When I do that, I get satisfied. When I sleep with a man, I get satisfied. When I do this, when I drink, when I watch a movie, I get satisfied. When I go to church, I get satisfied. Every person has a pleasure. And then another man who was called water. Pleasures don't last like snow falls in the river. A moment white, then melts forever. Water says, pleasures don't last like the snow falls in the river. A moment white and then it fades away. It melts forever. That's why imagine water when it's in the realm of a pleasure. Today he drinks, today he takes alcohol, and then the next day, as his game, hangover. And then after that, he goes into sleep. The next day, he wakes up when the pleasure is gone. And then he goes to arouse himself with another pleasure. Simply because the mind cannot actually, get contented. It wants to get that pleasure once and once. You start with one woman and then you continue. You start with one day and then you continue. I know a silly who drank himself to nothing until he started to drink, to take grass. You see that? To eat grass. Because that is a pleasure. And I say that the power of pain is greater than the power of pleasure. A person can know that, I'm taking this alcohol, it's going to damage my liver. And then he doesn't stop there. Because the power of pain is greater than the power of pleasure. You get it? A person can know, this is a beautiful lady. And how much he knows that he's having HIV, he will just go to her. That's the power of pleasure. And yet it carries now the pain. Am I speaking to somebody? A person can go and then watch movies and then spend most of his day watching movies. You know what? Time is wasted in watching movies. And then now the pain comes because in every man's life there's what we call the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of drought. It was a mystery that was revealed to us by Joseph, whereby after integrating Pharaoh's trade, it meant 7 years of abundance and then 7 years of plenty. These are years whereby we are plenty. But how are you using them? They are years whereby you have to store because the years are coming. To every product that you find in the supermarket, there's what we call best before, expiry. Therefore, consume it, use it before this time. 7 years of plenty, and yet 7 years of famine will come. Today you are sitting here. You never sit here in the same day, in the same month. The more you are there, the more you are going out the campus, and other people will come. So don't say that you are there to stay. You are here to be transformed, and then the university will say, now go. Let us continue learning here. Come and do a miracle today. Come and a miracle today. Sing it. Miracle. We say, a miracle today. I say, a miracle today. Okay, now listen to this. Now let us now try to divide the pleasures of life. There are what we call the godly pleasure and then the worldly pleasure. You get it? The worldly pleasure is far. And actually, let me just read it in. The worldly pleasure is far. To the zeal to fulfill the passions and then the desires of the flesh. Whereas the godly pleasure refers to the zeal to satisfy. No. The godly pleasure refers to the zeal to satisfy the desires of the spirit. The last day, godly pleasure refers to the zeal to satisfy the pleasures, the desires and then the passions of the flesh. You see that? And all of us we understand here. however much you are not in a theological school, but I believe you are born again. A man can only find life in the pleasures of God. If a man is in the pleasures of the world, he will get condemnation, he will be in darkness. That man will never have contentment. That man will see death. But if any man finds himself in the pleasures of God, what will happen? He will live in peace, he will have life, and life in abundance. And that man will live in light, and he will be in freedom, because there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Now, it's another life. Now, you need to do this. If you want to overcome the pleasures of the world, then you must be led by the Spirit of God. Romans chapter 8 and verse 14. For those who are led by the Spirit of God, they are the children of God. Talk about the worldly pleasures such as sexual perversions, such as addictions. Talk about masturbation. Talk about pornography. Those are addictions. But how can a man, because we have also believers who they are still fighting, they are still struggling with those worldly pleasures. And yet the Bible goes on to say, if any man loves the world, the love of the Father goes in him. Because whatever is in the world, the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but of the world. For the world passes away, but the word of God abides forever. So what is pleasurable unto you? You were born again and yet you are still struggling with some addictions. Why? That's the question my dad goes. Why? Why are you born again and yet you are still struggling with that addictions? And yet we know that Christ came to transform the sinners. Actually, Christ never came to make bad people good, but he came to make dead people live. But why are you still so much yielding to the flesh? Why are you so much in the worldly pleasures? And when it comes to church, when it comes to prayer, when it comes to reading the Bible, you don't find pleasure in that. Why? When we say let us go and eat, that's pleasure. When we say let's go and watch a movie, that's pleasure. When we say let us go in our this and that's pleasure. But why? When it comes to Sunday, then you even come late. Why? When it comes to reading the Bible, then you read that like Timothy and it says, go and then when you start to read a novel for life. Then your mind is attuned, your mind is alert, and you're ready to learn because you want to be in love, and then you have all the experience. Why is that happening? Now, this is now the reason. The reason is you have not been introduced to higher rates of God's pleasure. There is a man who felt so much with the pleasures of God. He felt so much. You know what? He found satisfaction. He goes on to say that I'd rather dwell as a doorkeeper in the gates of God, in the house of God, than dwelling among the tent of wickedness. He finds pleasure there. How much I'm a doorkeeper? He finds pleasure. He finds life there. He finds freedom there. He finds light. Where there's light, there's an end to confusion. Where there's light, there's an end to fear. You cannot fear something that you know. Are we together? A man called Solomon, he attained all things. When you start Evangelist chapter 1 and verse 13, it goes on to say that, you know what, I gave my heart to search and to seek out all things under the sun. And when you go to verse 2, it goes on to say, you know what, I attained all things. I built houses, I had maids, you know what, I had women. That's the man who was ever married. Much women upon the earth. He had all things. And then when you translate again to verse 11, chapter 1, verse 11, he goes on to say, what, I consider all things as vexation of the spirit and also vanity. The man who wants all things, and yet he considers them to be vanity. And yet for us to see, if I get money, I'll be so happy. And yet find even some people who say, you know what, yes, I have money, but I don't have peace. So where is the peace and what is the peace? So the pleasures of the world, they will keep you wanting and wanting and wanting. You don't have any contentment. You get $1 million, you want to get $2 million. You get $1, you want to get another $1. Yeah, you sleep on this woman, then you want to sleep with another woman. You take a beer and then you want to arouse yourself the next day with another beer. Simply because the mind cannot actually get addicted to just one. He wants to have another pleasure. So now, here comes the believer still struggling with that. Would it be that you have not been introduced to a higher grade of God's pleasure? Psalms chapter 16 and verse 11. Psalm 16 and verse 11. It goes on to say, you know what? You shall show me the path of life, and in your presence there is fullness of joy, and at your right hand there are pleasures evermore. So today we are living in the times of our thing is all about alignment. So as a child who is at ease, how can you get aligned? By first of all knowing the pleasures of life, and also after knowing them, what are the holy pleasures and what are the worldly pleasures, and then you strike a line after making striking a balance also. You ever choose the worldly pleasure or the holy pleasure? But I've told you the effects that will come from each. In the worldly pleasure, you find there condemnation. You find there, nothing like contentment. You find there, darkness. You find there death. You find there, not living in peace, but in the godly pleasures, you find peace. You see that? Why is this fellow believer, we tell him to fast? How are we going to fast again? He said to pray, pray as much. They are quick on ending that so as they can switch on to another side of life. They are quick on ending prayer. They are quick on reading the Bible so as they can do other stuff, so as they can switch on to another lifestyle. Why? Because you've been not introduced to a superior. Now let me this. A man when he's addicted to certain pleasure, he cannot go away from that pleasure unless he's introduced to a higher realm of pleasure. Yeah? That's why you find the thing that right now is a pleasure. Simply because he encountered another pleasure. You can never leave that pleasure until you get another realm of pleasure that comes your way. And that is God. It's the one who can deliver you. You see that? So when he's in prison, yes, we're born again. But when you check your heart, it's God number one. Oh, God just comes and asks sugar. As sugar. Just an addition to make the tea better, to make the tea sweet. No. He has to be the one. There is no such life whereby this is my church life and this is my worldly life. They have to be intertwined and interwoven in one. In church you are God, it is God. Outside church it is God. There's not nothing like this is my life in church and this is my life outside church. So people are we together? I don't know, Madam Rose, how many years? 15. I still have time. Now I was worried when to rush. But if somebody trying to understand something again.
Yo.
I try to understand something again. We are talking about alignment.
Bamongedde dakika 15.
Putting in order.
Abadde alina maliriza ku 6 kitundu.
Putting in order. Because sometimes our minds are now let us talk about this, Madam Arrows. Jesus gives a pattern. That is so away to sow. Let us go to Luke chapter 8. Let us read the Bible, please. Luke chapter 8 and verse 14. That will be my key scripture. Luke chapter 8 and verse 14. Are you there? All of us know the parable of the soul. That this is a man whereby he had this is a man who went to sow. And some seeds fell on the ground, on the west side, and then others within infertile ground, others within the thorns, and then others in the fertile ground. And then verse 14, Luke chapter 8 and verse 14. Are we there? I read. And that which fell among the thorns are they which when they are hard go forth and are choked with the cares and riches and the pleasures of this life and bring them fruit to perfection. You see that? They receive the word, they receive knowledge from the teachers. But their wisdom, it doesn't come to perfection. It doesn't bring results. It doesn't mature. We don't see the results. It doesn't mean that you don't study, but you have the results of the study person. It doesn't mean that you don't go to church, but you have the results of the person who goes to church. It doesn't mean that you are not a prayer warrior, but you have the results of a prayer warrior. It doesn't mean that you don't read the Bible, but you have the results of a Bible reading person. Those are the people, after receiving the word is struck by the pleasures of life. And it doesn't bring no fruit to perfection. There's no perfection there. You can be praying, you can be learning, but where is the perfection? Where are the results? Yes, you say, I love God, but where are the results that you love God? Yes, you say, my mother sent me here, but after some years they are going to ask you, where are the results? Am I preaching to somebody there? Let us wake up as born again. Actually, Madame Rose, they're required by so much the pleasures of God, and they're neglecting other things. Yeah, we need to balance. Never forget that you are in the world. I understand you're a prayer warrior, I understand you love God, but actually also you need to understand that you are in the world, and the world will always question you that where are the papers? Some of us are preaching here not because we failed. Some people think that those who are in the theological school, they are people who failed. No, we passed away. But because I could understand my destiny, my purpose. So right now, I'm getting, excellence in it. What are you excellent about? I'm getting now excellence. Actually, one man, I was at St. Paul's College, and then this guy came with a question, and then he asked, I wanted to do commerce, but after they told me when I do commerce, I will not get employment. I told him, that is a lie. That is a lie. If you do commerce well, you gain mastery, prowess in commerce, you'll be employed somewhere. Because we are living in a competitive world. And that's why I talked about value will attract value. We are living in a competitive world. And if you want to rise up to levels whereby your gift and then talent and then whatever you are will be accepted, therefore you must have competence. Excellence. Continue to have excellence. Whatever you do. Are we together, people? So you were born again. Don't just say what's it. I've talked about the pleasures of God. So I'll keep on preaching. No. Even I myself am a preacher. But I have time to do the assignments. I have time for ministry. I have time for TV ministry because I'm a busy guy. I'll tell you that. I'm a busy guy. When I came to Kenya, I started to preach and preach. And then I'd go to a certain, church. You are supposed to, and then somebody just finished, you preach well. I want to give you a TV presentation. So I have a TV ministry. It's called Mobile TV. Mobile TV. Every Saturday, I'm always there. You can check. Those who are not on actually TV, you don't have a TV, but you can just go on YouTube. Search for Mobile TV. I'm always there. Excellence can put you there. A man's gift opens him room before great people. I told you your gift can be an elevator. Are we together? So I have also other ministries. I have food for the soul ministries and live Facebook streaming. I have the gospels. And also evangelism whereby people they invite you and you have assignments, you have classes. So don't say that you're born again and then you neglect also doing the things that you must do. As a born again, hate spiritual wisdom and also get secular wisdom. Yeah? Jesus grew up in wisdom, in stature, and in favor with God and man. In wisdom. And that's why when he encountered the Pharisees, he was able to question with them. He was able to challenge them. These are the times whereby you have to work hard. Forget about sleeping all day, all night. I'm a man actually who sometimes sleeps at around 1. It's around 1. Because sometimes since I'm a minister, when people asking you, hey, can you give us some idea? Hey, I got a dream and this and this. Hey, pray for me. And also it's spare sometimes when you are researching. I preach 5 times in a week. Facebook Live 5 times a week. So don't just be lazy as a believer. Don't just be lazy. So, that's all about that. But now, as I'm coming to my climax, let me do this. So, the Bible has told us here about that. And that which fell among the thorns are they which when they are high, go forth and are choked with the cares and riches and the pleasures of this life and bring us to perfection. So the little translation of the word is choking. When you fail to lean on your entire personality on God, you worry, and when you worry, you are shocked in your spirit. See that? And he talks about perfection. This is a fruit which cannot come to maturity, which cannot produce results. Yes, they do some things, but they don't prosper. Yes, you are here at school, but actually, yes, you're in class, but when the papers come, when the exams come, you still there. Hey, you guys, you are getting A's there. Don't you say that simply because you are like that, everybody is like that. Hello? Don't you say that, you know what, if you are getting CC, that everybody is getting CC. No, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. You are alone because you're going to suffer alone. Strive for mastery. Be excellent. Be valuable. These are the people who receive the word. They receive instruction. They receive learning, but their learning doesn't shield to perfection, the results. Yeah? It doesn't lead to results. It doesn't have a testimony. We don't see the end of the testimony. We don't see the end of a good thing. Are we together, people? So, while you pleasure, do not consider the things of God. While you pleasure leads to destruction, by God, the pleasure leads to life. In the worldly pleasure, there is death and darkness. While you pleasure, they lead to eternal separation with God. And when you are separated with God, therefore you have missed your alignment. Your alignment deals with your purpose as to why you are here. One man said that there are two greatest days upon the earth. The day you are born and the day you realize your purpose upon the earth. So if I do ask somebody randomly here, what is your purpose? Can I try that? What is your purpose? Can I try that? Huh? Yes? Who is saying yes? Who wants to give us his purpose for his for our life? Huh? Nobody. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Are you there? Yes. So, but actually, you're going to be the first person to realize the purpose as to why you are here. And one of the ways that you can realize your purpose by finding where you are placed at. Sometimes, you know what, it's not easy for God to tell you because you need to go in a higher way to understand and then here go. But sometimes you can be based at something. Then when you start to do something, you do it within a good way. Don't be there and then say, what, maybe you are hoping superstitiously to rise to greatness. No. Don't be there and then you are superstitiously, hoping to become something in the world. No. There is something that you must do. Are we together? So I've told you Psalm 16 verse 11 that you shall show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy, and thy right hand there are pleasures evermore. And then so in the presence of God is pleasure. You find pleasure? Yeah. And then I want to finish like this. The Bible talks about a man called Joseph. When you go to the book of Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 24, it talks about that by faith when Moses was brought up, actually that's scripture. And I believe I still have time, there's no need to rush because I was rushing too much. Let us go to Hebrews chapter 11. And verse 24 to 26. Okay. Hebrews 11, verse 24 to 26. We are there? Okay. By faith, when Moses was come to years, he used to be called the son of fellowship, choosing rather to serve affliction with the people of God, but to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of Christ's greater riches than the treasures in Egypt. We had respect. He had respect unto the recompense of the reward. And this is a man. Moses, he was in Egypt, and then he refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to follow to give that appellation to the people of God, that enjoy the pleasures of Egypt that are for a season. That's why we say that pleasures are for a season. Also, body pleasures are for a season. But where the body pleasures take you, they take you to life. So the pleasures come to you. That's why the Bible says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and whatever you shall be added unto you, and the pleasure shall be added unto you. But now, when God, actually the Bible says, God's goodness causes man to repent. He comes to repentance. Actually, repentance is realignment. You come back. You renounce. And then get in touch with and understand. So, we see Moses actually, he was in Egypt. When he was in Egypt, he was a guy whereby he was now raised up Pharaoh's son. And Moses was not to be the heir. But here comes riches one time whereby he was full of age. A person, you must grow. And that's the grow you understand. There's what you call movement and progress. A person can be growing up and never progress in his mindset. Say it always, grow up. Are we together? Progress and movement, they are different. And the people, there are many people who are getting drinks and they are just in movements. But now, your dream to progress, you must wake up from the dream and then start acting on it. Acting on your dream. Dreams without goals, they are actually dreams. You see that? So here comes Rabbi Emmanuel. Come to yes, come to age, come to understanding. And when he came to understanding, this is what he did. He said, no, this is not where I must be. I feel something within me telling me, no. There's something that I must do. These are my people. And then he said, you know what, I have to deliver this. Though he did it in the Bible. But there was something within him telling him, you have to deliver your people. Though it wasn't the right time, that's why he kills somebody and then he runs out. And then God finds him within media and then he sends him back. But actually, that's the sign to show that he wanted to bring deliverance. So when he came to Yahweh, he said, no, I will not enjoy these pleasures. I'd rather serve affliction with the people of God than enjoy the pleasures for a season. I said that pleasures there for a season. Whether God will own one, when the man does masturbation, this is why he gets the pleasure. When you want pornography, you want to you get pleasure. But actually, that pleasure again, the man will say, give it to me again. Give it to me again. The man overrides that pleasure, then he wants another dimension of pleasure. So now, Moses is here, and then he realized what he did for so all the pleasures. Don't tell me that as a prince, he wasn't going to enjoy the women, he wasn't going to enjoy the gold, the glory. You see that? But after he came to his senses, this is a man who had the vision of Christ. Even before Jesus came, the Bible was esteeming the greater riches that are in Christ than the pleasures of life in Egypt. He's a man who even had a vision of Christ before Jesus came in the New Testament dispensation. That's why you must have a vision as a person who's there. Because if you don't have a vision, then the pleasures of the world, they will take you astray. Without a vision, people cast off, across people perish. And how can you find your vision? If you find your vision in the word of God. You see that? Whatever the Bible was in this word, How can you know your true identity? By reading the Bible. Get in touch with what the scripture goes on to say. You are the head and never the tail. No, you are beautiful and wonderfully made. No, you are a priest. You are a king. You see that? So get in touch with the word of God. That's how you can realize your vision. Vision deals with the sight. When you have a vision, there are some places that you will not engage in. Because you have a vision. A person has a vision. He has a big picture. When I talk about a big picture, you can see the end from the beginning. You can see the tomorrow from the today. Yeah? You can see the results from whatever you're doing. And then if you're smart, and then once enough, then you can run out from them. I once said that you need to be smarter than a smartphone. There are people who are foolish. And the smartphone is wise, so it can lead them. Because they are blind. So be smarter than. You guys, you know what? You don't give that motivation with the future. But I believe you're learning. Yeah? So you've got to have a vision. If you are visionless, therefore, whatever comes on your table, you shall just get it. One man actually I was reading here, he was when he said, you know what, sinful and then what forbidden pleasures, they're like poison. I know, they're like bread with poison. And they taste good for a moment. They satisfy your appetite, but at the end, they come with death. That was Thomas. I wrote it here. You can just know what's the research about it. It was called Edward's trial. He said, you know what, when you talk about sinfulness and then forbidden pleasures, they're like poison bread. They can satisfy your appetite, but afterward they come with death. So you've got to always vision your life. One time I said, envision God's vision for your life and then be it. When you envision God's vision for your life and you be it, then you will live a full, purposed life. So what is your vision? Because what you do will determine what you will be there. See the big picture. See the today. No, see the tomorrow from the today. Am I preaching to somebody there? Where do you want to be 10 years from now? And what is your pleasure? These are the times whereby your pleasure must be so much in studying, getting knowledge, getting understanding, being transformed. Because we're in the morning stage. You have a vision that I want to be a prime minister, that I want to be a good somewhere, that I want to change the course of my background. Some of us, we came from humble backgrounds. Backgrounds that know what they have been affected. I'm the first one to reach the university, I'll tell you that. My client, I'm the first one to reach the university. But I have a vision. And each and every day I seek excellence. And if you have a vision, therefore, you can see clearly where you're going. Save my soul, Jesus made me live again. He brightens my future. Now I can see where I'm going. Open my eyes, let me see. And Jesus prayed for his disciples so as they can understand the scriptures, opening from the sight. Ephesians chapter 1 verse 18. Having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God through the ignorance that is within their heart. Having your understanding darkened, that is a mindset that is demonic. That is a mindset that's been humanized and then demeaned. All of us here, as we are, I believe some of you know what people told you cannot make it, you cannot go there, you cannot do this. But I want to tell you, whose report shall you believe? And who has believed our report? Satan has a report about you. God also has a report about you. When Satan you make a decision, I shall follow the report of God. Your parents, they have a report about you. Your friends have a report about you. But what does God say? When Jesus says this, nobody can say no. And as he has spoken to you, he has spoken through the written word. The written word. And he has spoken through his Son. Four things is why Jesus came. Four reasons why Jesus came. He came to clear our perception of Son and God. Because by then people had a misunderstanding who is God. Everybody who used to be a standing powerful, they were studying to be a God. So when Jesus came carrying the characters of God, he cleared our perception of who God is. Yeah? Secondly, he came to show us what can happen to a man if he gets in touch and aligned to God and the Spirit of God. He came as a perfect theologian. And also, he came as a substitutionary sacrifice. That is a man who knew his vision, and within 3 years he had done all. So I just want to ask you, what is your pleasure? What is your pleasure? If you're going to have a pleasure, then you must have a vision. Because some pleasures will take away your time. The Bible goes on to say, Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 15. Walk as wise and not as unwise. Redeeming the time because the days are evil. Evil is there. Pleasures, you know what we're living in .com era, everything is disposable. It's actually disposable. You can get it or you leave it. It's upon you to choose. I said before you life and death, I will not force you, but I will only advise you. God gave you a free will. But how are you using your free will? Because in your free will, you can't sabotage, you can't limit, you can suppress the intentions of God upon your life. What is your pleasure? Imagine somebody whereby you used to love God, but right now the love for God has gone down. Imagine somebody whereby you used to pray much, you used to read the Bible. Imagine somebody whereby you used to go to church with the intentionality of learning, because you used to think about your family, your background, your mother is suffering, your father is suffering there. But right now your mind has been, diverted. You have lost your alignment, but today God's giving you the grace as you can be aligned again. Come on, somebody say amen. It's one thing to hear the word, it's another thing to be the doer of the word. The transformation comes when you hear the word and then you go to the level whereby you do the work. And how do you get this transformation? By the renewing of your mind. Then you go to Romans chapter 12 verse 2. And be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And do not be conformed to the patterns of this world. You see that? And how can you renew your mind? By getting in touch with superior information which can supersede and which can superimpose itself on whatever that you are having that is negative until it gains dominance. But how can it gain dominance? When you read it and read it. Faith comes by hearing and hearing the word. But how does the truth gain dominance within you? By also hearing and hearing it until it gains dominance within your life. So do I believe you're getting to get truth? Hallelujah, somebody? So people, that's the one thing. Can you just stand up a little bit? Can you just stand up a little bit? You're waiting. We talked about the pleasures of life. What is the pleasure? Because the name shall abide, the love of many shall grow. The pleasure for God shall grow. He said that because you know what? It's very loud with a man and a boyfriend. Because we live in times whereby I've had many. I'm a guy who speaks to people. He said that there's a lady who came to me and they told me, Emma, the other guy told me to send him, minding things, and then after sending there, he has now deserted me. He said that the pleasures of the world you find there disappointment, but there's a God who has a disappointment. And may you come back again. When you come back to your King, he shall bring you back. God has to chase you. He still welcomes you. Sings our